Hey guys. Can I adjust that a little bit? Okay. So I've actually gotten a surprising amount of messages regarding this case, and I have been extremely interested in this case because I am somebody who has dealt with domestic violence and in past relationships. And so for me, when I found out about this case, I was just very, very intrigued like the rest of the world. And I wanted so badly for Gabby to be found alive, but unfortunately it doesn't seem that that's the case. But there's also a lot of misinformation out there, and there's also a lot of bad information, and there's also a lot of theories. And so I don't really feel like any of the theories are extremely helpful. And for people who want just the information, it's very off-putting when you come across a whole bunch of theories and misinformation. So I have actually spent days from the date that it first became public until now researching and trying to gather the facts, and I wanted in some way to be able to help, but there's not a lot I can do from where I am at. Okay, so let's talk about this. So who is Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie, right? So they've been dating for about 2.5 years and got engaged. They met in high school, and Petito's dad says that, you know, he accepted their relationship and that Brian always seemed respectful and that there had been no red flags between the two of them. So there was no red flags, and he accepted him. He didn't call him by his name. He never liked any of his daughter's boyfriends, so he called him Brian, as he said today on Dr. Phil. But he accepted their relationship because it had been 2.5 years. The father reported that he has never seen them fighting. He didn't know of any domestic issues, and so there was no red flags for him to know that anything was going on. He also was not aware of the video that was released from the body cam footage. Hi, Cameron. He was made aware of that when it came out on the media, and so he talked about how that was extremely hard for him and really overwhelming for him, and I couldn't imagine as a parent how that must feel. Hey. So anyway, on 8/21, that was the last time that Gabby and her father FaceTimed, and that was while she was away. She was trying to set up her website. There was some email issues that was going on. He was trying to help her. Hey, it's me. And so in doing so, they were able to figure it out, and they FaceTimed for quite a while, so it seemed, and she seemed to have a good relationship with both her mother and her father. Only her father was featured on Dr. Phil, so that's the information I have from there. So a basic timeline would be that on July 2nd of this year, they decided they were going to go on a cross-country trip. So they went cross-country. I don't have my little map right now. It's actually on my phone, but I'm recording from my phone, so I can't really pull it up. Anyway, so they went cross country, and on August 12th, they were in Moab, Utah. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And they were pulled over for a domestic situation. And as they were being pulled over, Brian swerved the vehicle, hit the curb, and police were a little concerned with the fact that he was swerving the vehicle and that he did hit the curb. And when they were talking to them, they found it really strange that Gabby was extremely visibly upset, I should say, and she was very concerned with her behavior and how she had affected Brian, and she said she was being very apologetic all morning, that she felt really bad because she is OCD about the way she keeps the back of the vehicle, since they were traveling in a van cross country and back, and she was really upset that morning, and she said she was more frazzled than normal. And so she apologized and said that she had smacked him while he was driving, and so that's probably why he swerved. And then when the police saw him, he had scratches on his face and also on his hand. She said that he grabbed her face, and so that's how he got the scratch on his hand. He said the 2 scratches on his face were from her, but that he loved her and they were in a loving relationship and he didn't want to press charges. After that happened, one of the things that a lot of people don't realize, which I found really fascinating, was that on the 17th of August, so right after that fight, about approximately 5 days after, Brian flew home to be with his father, and the two of them moved his storage unit, which contained Gabby and his belongings. Nobody knows where these items were taken or moved, and nobody knows why in the middle of their month-long road trip, why was it so important for them to have Brian fly home and move all of her belongings. So that was really strange. Hi, Shannon. No problem. There's so much misinformation. This is just really important for me because I feel like people really, really easily get misinformation. So I'm going to go through everything I've written down for days. Literally, I've done this for days. Okay, so anyway, 8/17. He goes home, right? Flies home. So he obviously had access to an airport because he already had flown home once. When he went home, they moved all their belongings out of the storage unit. Why was that important to do right then and there? Really strange. Nobody knows. Whatever. Okay, so then on 8/23, he flies back to the Fairfield Inn in Salt Lake City, which is where he put Gabby up in a hotel for the, 6 days? So from 8/17 to 8/23, Gabby was in the hotel room by herself in Salt Lake City, Utah. On 8/24, they checked out and they were seen leaving together. That was the last time that Gabby was seen. Her mother has said, like, where are Gabby's things? Why was it necessary to clean out the storage unit? The mom's really questioning, where are Gabby's things? Like, they want to know, if you cleaned out her storage unit, where'd you put her things? Like, where are her things? It's never been disclosed where her things are or why it was important for them to move those things. So moving forward, on 8/27, Gabby sent, a message was sent from Gabby's phone. They do not believe it was Gabby. It was sent to her mother, and it says, "Can you help Stan? I just keep getting his voicemails and missed calls." Now, Stan is Gabby Petito's grandfather, and she's never been known to refer to him as Stan. So the mother believes that she did not send this text message and that this, again, is very suspicious and strange. And so they start kind of wondering, where's Gabby? They hadn't heard anything from her since that last text. So, they knew that she was in and out of service areas. They knew there was a good chance that they wouldn't hear from her for a few days. But then as the days started going on, it was a little bit strange. So after that text message was sent, Gabby's phone was turned off, and it had been off for over 15 days. The last time she had been seen, I have noted here 8/27, so it might have been the 27th, not the 24th. Oh yeah, she was seen on the 27th, not the 24th. So I correct that, sorry. Okay, so then the police noted when they did pull over Gabby and Brian, they did note that they felt that Gabby was unable to care for herself due to her increased anxiety, and concerns for her welfare increased to an extingent level. Sorry for the ums. Okay, so then we move forward. So then the parents end up reporting her missing. They tried to do it on, oh wait, I skipped a whole section. Okay, so Gabby, we don't know what happens to her. She's last seen on the 27th. Then there's like a period of time that goes by, and then Brian is seen at 10:26. His vehicle had a timestamp with his Florida plate as he was entering Northport at 10:26 a.m. on the 1st of September. So Brian returned to Northport on the 1st of September. At 10:26 a.m. is when his license plate was tagged. Well, actually, it's Gabby's license plate because it's Gabby's van. When he returns home, Gabby is not with him. It is just him returning home with their van, which happens to be in her name, so it's registered to her. It's owned by Gabby. So he brings her van back, but he doesn't bring Gabby back. He also brings all their stuff back, so Gabby's left with nothing. So then the search starts, right? The parents start calling. They want to know, hi. They want to know, where is Brian? And where is Gabby? And they keep calling Brian. They keep calling Brian's parents. They text them. They reach out to them. Nothing. It's just dead silence. They get no responses. Nobody's answering where Gabby is. They start getting suspicious. At this point, Gabby's family don't live in the same area, so they're starting to get very, very worried. So they go ahead and they report it. I believe they live in New York. I'm not 100% positive, but I'm pretty sure of that. So anyway, after several days of trying to contact, figuring out where Gabby is, not being able to get a hold of her, On the 10th of September, they go to the police station and they say, hey, look, our daughter's missing. We can't get a hold of her. So they try to file a missing persons report. Unfortunately, it didn't go through till the 11th, but on September 11th, there is a missing persons report sent out nationally, and the FBI gets involved in the Gabby Petito case. So now Brian's been home for 10 days, isn't responding to any messages, won't cooperate with police, is not answering questions, and he had already hired a lawyer at this point. How long after his return home did he hire a lawyer? Nobody really knows the answer to that question. Super suspect, though, that he would go and hire a lawyer before the missing persons report. It seems that it coincided like maybe slightly before or around the time. So why hire a lawyer and say nothing? Super weird. They're definitely the most hated people in America. Maybe even globally. Like, this is bad. Okay, so then on the 11th, the police report's filed, and following that, they bring up the domestic call in Moab, and that's when the parents find out about that through the media. Okay, so Gabby Petito is 22 and Brian Laundrie is 23. Okay, so then after this all goes through, sorry, I lost my train of thought. I was reading a comment on there. Okay, so on 9/14, the police executed a search warrant for the Laundrie's home. No, for the van. And so they took the van, I believe, into police possession, and they now had it in their care so they could search the van. Also on 9/14, Brian went to the Carlton Reserve in Sarasota County, and he parked the car and decided to go for a hike. Okay, this was on, I believe, Monday. So 9/14, I believe that's a Monday. Correct me if I'm wrong, someone. But yes, so he decides to go for a hike, or that's what he told his parents, or what his parents are claiming. On the 15th, there was a note on his vehicle at the reserve that asked for his vehicle to be moved. The parents found this note when they went to check on the vehicle, and they decided to let the vehicle sit there. So that was on Tuesday. So 9/15, the police had put a note on the car. 9/16, the car was moved to the family home after Brian didn't return. So they waited till Thursday to move the vehicle to their driveway. So super suspect that they would take his vehicle and move it on Thursday to their home. And then they would wait until Friday, the 17th, to report Brian missing. So now Brian's been gone since the 14th. They wait 3 solid days before they report him missing. And so, also super suspicious. Yeah, and why did the parents find the note on his vehicle? They said that when Brian didn't come home, they became worried, so they went to check on him. And then they said that they left the vehicle there in case Brian returned. So that's their excuse of why they went to check on the vehicle and why they didn't move the vehicle, even though there had been a tag on it that said the vehicle needed to be moved. So on the 17th, he's reported missing. From the 18th to the 20th, the police decided that they would start searching that area. So they were searching the reserve in Sarasota County. They looked through those 25,000 acres of land, and after, on the 20th, they announced that they would call off the search on Monday because they had exhausted all avenues in searching the grounds where the parents claimed that he was. Right, that's what I want to know. Why wouldn't they report him missing right away if he was really missing? So the big thing going around is, what are they covering up? First of all, they didn't cooperate when he came home on the 1st, and she had been missing for 10 days at that point. They did not contact Gabby's parents. They didn't talk to anybody. They didn't cooperate with police. Nothing, like, they won't speak at all. There's been nothing said by this family in regards to where Gabby could be or what happened. The only person who's talking, I believe her name is Cassie, which is Brian's sister, and she offers her condolences and says, I have nothing to do with this. My father won't talk to me now. My brother won't talk to me. And she said if she knew more information, she would send it. She and Gabby were actually close, and Cassie actually shared the last text messages she had with Gabby, and she even shared that while Gabby was away cross country, she sent postcards to what they call her nieces and nephews. So Gabby was pretty close with Cassie, it seems like, and Cassie really did cherish and love her relationship with Gabby. But when Brian went home, Gabby's family tried contacting. Cassie's the only one who has broken her silence. Nobody in that family will speak to Gabby's family. They won't give any information, won't talk to the police, any of it. And then, yeah, so today, the 20th, the police announced a search warrant 2 times before entering the Laundrie home. The Laundries were then taken out of their home, placed into an FBI van, which was parked on their lawn. The police taped off the area, and now they're considering it a crime scene. They also, on that search warrant, it said that they were allowed to take anything and everything, basically, that was able to be used in a digital format. So on the 15th, they had their original search warrant. That was for the vehicle. And then the Northport police were given permission to examine an external hard drive that was found inside of the vehicle, the van that had been driven cross country. So that's now located at the police department in Northport, and it's in an evidence locker, and they are breaking that apart and kind of figuring out what's on that external hard drive. And then the new search warrant also gives permission to all emails, computers, storage devices, digital documents, passwords, notes, text message, internet history. I mean, everything, anything digital that could lead them to be able to find information about what happened between Gabby and Brian. And at this point, Brian is still very much on the run or missing. I think he's filed as a missing person, so technically on the run is allegedly. So, but yeah, he still hasn't been found since he left, and it's just kind of crazy because where is Brian? And oh, the sad part about all this, they did finally find Gabby's body. That was yesterday, I believe, on the 19th, and unfortunately she is deceased. Now, the autopsy is performed tomorrow on the 21st, which is Tuesday, and when they perform the autopsy, they'll be able to confirm DNA, probably tomorrow, to confirm it's her. Then it could take up to 2 weeks for the full autopsy to come back to determine cause of death and what's going on with Gabby. But the bigger thing is, where is Brian? So we need to help the Northport police and just the FBI in general to locate where is Brian Laundrie and what information does he have, why is he not talking, and how can we as a large group come together and look for this person. So if you don't know this case, the biggest thing I would offer is please look up this case, please look up Gabby, please look up pictures of Brian, and please, if you see Brian and you're located in Florida or anywhere, somebody had said he was in Alabama recently, police looked for him there, there was no signs of him in that part of Alabama, but if you see his face and you see this man anywhere, stop what you're doing, follow him and call police, but don't let him know you're following him. Obviously do it in a safe way. Just kind of try to keep tabs on him and call the police immediately because he needs brought in because now he is a viable suspect. Another few questions that I had and people wondered outside of this case is, you know, they wanted to know where they live. So Gabby and Brian lived at the Laundrie's house with Brian's parents, and so obviously Brian is very close with his parents and they have to know some information, but they're not talking. They are not giving up any information and they are refusing to cooperate. So I think they know more than they're letting on, and we need to figure out how to get them to cooperate. If this was Brian and the tables were turned and Gabby had done something to their son, I would think that they would want reciprocated the love and respect of another parent to cooperate and to give information, because if this was your kid, then you owe it to Gabby and her family to give the information that you have and to help them, because it's absolute bullshit. That's just me being frank, that they feel like they can just be silent. Like they know something. I know for fact they know more than Gabby's family does. And so for that reason, they need to be cooperating and giving that information. But if you see Brian, please report it to the police and the FBI. And the Northport police would be great in Florida, or just call the FBI number and report it to the FBI as well. Both can help you with this case. Or if he's not in Northport, then wherever he is, call that local police department, call 911 and get somebody there right away. Also, people wondered, did Gabby have any money, and you know, how was she able to support this trip or whatever. So her and Brian both had worked at the Publix in I guess Northport maybe. I'm not exactly sure which Publix, but both of them, it is kind of Todd. It's so weird. But both of them had worked at Publix prior to this, and since they didn't have any rent expenses or any of that, they lived with Brian's parents, as I said, so they saved up all their money from Publix. And this also was not the first time they did a cross-country trip. So previously, they had went cross-country to San Francisco and back. So another thing, the dad wasn't completely spooked because it wasn't like it was the first time they had done this sort of thing. This was their second road trip together. And so there, again, was no red flag. So the family didn't think, you know, anything of that. And then they'd been together for 2.5 years at this point, met in high school, and they were fiancés. So just, you know, none of those red flags went off as a parent, and the parents were still extremely hopeful that they would come back. But unfortunately, you know, it just ended up a sad situation. So I just wanted to share the information about what the facts were, because for me, I was very frustrated when I was trying to find information on this case, and there's just so many conspiracy theories and just theories out there in general, and I just feel like people aren't getting the information and giving good information. And you know, the biggest thing is getting the right information, and how can we help and do our part. And all we can do to do our part is just look for Brian, and if you see him, report it. And if you know any information whatsoever, like the littlest bits of detail, doesn't matter if you've seen them previously during the time that they left on July 2nd until the time Brian returned on September 1st. If you have any information, it needs to be reported to the FBI. Any sightings, I know they've been keeping track of all the sightings of people who had seen him. I know there was one point where the van was spotted, but they weren't at the van, and it was after the last time she'd been seen, but the van was spotted, but she wasn't anywhere with the van. So, I mean, there is that missing period of time. I also don't know exactly where she was found, other than at the last place that they had been, I believe. I forget. I can't believe I didn't write that down. I'm sure I did. If you know the name of the forest, you can put it in the comments. I forget the name. But anyway, I don't know about all of you guys, but I've had horrible anxiety about this case, and it is just so extremely sad. And my heart goes out to the Petito family. My heart does not go out to the Laundrie family, other than Cassie, who seems to be a bit of a victim in this case as well. But you know, to the Laundrie family, you have an obligation to speak and stop being cowards. As for the Petito family, as somebody who is a mom, my heart goes out to you, and also as a former Dr. Phil guest, I know what that feels like to go somewhere because you're so desperate for help. And in your case, I'm so sorry that you know, turned out the way that it did. But if there's anything we can do as a whole to get awareness and bring Brian in for questioning, then that's what we need to be doing. So anybody have any questions that you can think of about the case that I didn't answer? Or I feel like I kind of went over all the details. If you didn't, if you're just tuning in on this live, you can go back and watch the replay. I only talk about the Gabby Petito case facts. I tried to avoid answering too many comments because I didn't want this to be, yeah. How the heck is he? So I think he was partially bald and then shaved his head, but I could be wrong. There's some guys that go bald at like 22, 23. But yeah. I know. Yeah, no, they totally met in high school, and that's when they started dating. So they'd been together for like 2.5 years. They started dating right out of high school, I guess, because she was 22, and I don't know, so like a year or so after high school, I guess. But they knew each other in high school, and they talked through high school, from what I understand from what the dad said today. So yeah. Oh, well, thank you. It was actually on the Dr. Phil show today, Cameron, which is why I decided to talk about it, because I've been gathering information. I legit have like notes and notebooks just full of information that I've been gathering, because this is something. Oh, that's a question I didn't answer. So what do the Laundries do? So here's some weird things about the Laundrie family, right? So Brian's parents, they own a juicer services company that they started in 2017. They sell services and juicers. So they serve and they sell and service juicing equipment. But it's called Juicer Services. It's a company they started in 2017. So I assume they moved to Florida sometime around 2017. I'm not positive on that. And then I know that Brian and Gabby moved in with his parents together in 2019. And then the following year, they got engaged in 2020. And then they've been working together at Publix. I also know that this is super weird, but every time Brian's parents has acquired an asset, they have paid cash for it, including their houses and I believe their juicer business. Now, I'm not positive on that, but that's what the media is reporting, is that all of their assets have been paid for in cash, like vehicles in their house. So, yeah. Super weird. Oh, did they put it on America's Most Wanted? That's awesome. So we were just talking about how it was on Dr. Phil, and Cameron heard that, so I think that's why he said that. Some things the media are saying. Yeah, so that's another big thing. So the media reported, you know, the laundry said that Brian was home, but there was evidence maybe in a photo that he had made it home when his license plate was ran. Now, nobody actually knows if he's been seen or spotted, but nobody saw him leaving the home, which was super strange as well. So, like, where is Brian? Nobody really knows at this point, but I would assume that being the FBI raided the home today, that if he was in there, they would have found him. They did find his vehicle parked, the Mustang, at the reserve, and then the parents brought it home, so they say. Again, I don't know how much evidence there is on that specific information, but I definitely think the parents have a lot more information than they're giving, and I definitely think that they should be offering that up, because they're going to end up in a load of trouble after this is all said and done. So it's, yeah, but I guess what's weird about the assets being bought in cash, I pay for a lot of things in cash as well, but the house, from what I understand, is relatively expensive, so it just seemed strange that all of their assets have been bought, because it's 10,000 acres, I believe, their land, so I'm not positive. But yeah, super weird. And I know some of you on this feed are actually from Northport, so I know that the parents live on what is that, Wasabo or Wabasso or something like that in Northport, and I know there's a lot of people protesting, asking, but yes, I definitely agree there should be more cameras. I hear the baby, he's pretty mad. I hear him saying mommy, so I'm gonna jump off here, but if you guys see Brian, please report it to 911 right away. And I love you guys so much. Thanks for tuning in. I just wanted to give you guys the facts, and let's see if we can't find Brian and bring him in. All right, love you guys. Night.